sporting talent. And we started off with the, let me say, the proposition that actually Kenya excels in sports. Not because we've got an excellent framework for sports, just because we have talent. Now imagine if we put in place a proper structure in order to exploit the sporting talent that we have. It would really elevate our ability and our global standing as a sporting nation. So our performance in sport is not by design. So what we're trying to do is to ensure that we put in place the design to ensure that we give our athletes, our sports people, the proper foundation to perform optimally. So, and that is really the foundational basis upon which the task force proceeded. Now, in order to do that, we had to think about the various institutions that underpin sporting performance, first and foremost. And then we had to think about performance in sport. And how do we ensure that that is put together from a legislative perspective. So let me give you an example. You know, the reality is that when you think about it, how many CSs have we had in sports in this government? I think we're on the third CS now, right? Every CS comes in with a philosophy which defines the emphasis that we put on sports. So Ababu had his, the way in which he wanted sports to run. He had his vision. And then Murkomen came and he had a slightly different vision. And now we have Mvuria, who has a slightly different focus. And so we want to insulate sports from being subjective or subject to the changing visions of the political office holders, right? Because anything that will have longevity needs stability. And it is okay to have a vision for what you would like to do, but we must find a framework in which that vision can be propelled. So one of the things that we have proposed in the news in the Sports Bill 2026 is to have a national sports regulatory authority. And the purpose of that regulatory authority is to embed the policy for the development of sports in an organization that will capture this vision, align it with the policies or the policy that we are working on, and ensure that even as visions change, the direction of sports continues without interruption. So if you had somebody who came in and his view was we need to focus on grassroots, or somebody whose view was it is AFCON, we need to focus on AFCON, that you put the resources in there without impeding the development of the core, the heart of sports, so to speak. So we've proposed the National Sports Regulatory Authority for that purpose. Then there are some institutions which we have proposed to retain. So under the Sports Act of 2013, you know we have Sports Kenya. Now we think about Sports Kenya as the institution responsible for the hardware of sports. Because their responsibility is to develop stadia, the facilities, infrastructure, and so on and so forth. But we have also said that they must, within their mandate, they must be future-looking. So they must imbue themselves with a commercial mind frame. Ensure that our sporting facilities are also commercially viable. Ensure that our sporting facilities have proper access, for instance, so that we cater to all categories of fans, all categories of participants. So they must be wheelchair friendly, for instance. They must cater to people who are people living with disabilities. and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
We must modernize our sporting infrastructure, make them world class.
Yes.
Make sure that they meet all those standards. We are trying to get to the point where we don't have the thing that we've had over the last 2-3 years, where AFCON inspectors come and say, "Oh, we're not ready. Our facilities don't meet the standards."
Yeah.
They must be ready all the time. Yeah? And that's the mandate of Sports Kenya.
Yeah.
And then sports, we look at what we call the software of sports. That's the Kenya Academy of Sports. And their responsibility will be to develop pathways, sporting pathways for our young people. As you know, they're already developing academies across the country,
yes.
different counties and so on,
to
ensure that sports, or to ensure that our young people at every level are identified at an early stage and given the opportunity to grow. So there is the identification, and then there is the facilitation. How do we develop that potential? How do we ensure that you're given the right facilities, that you're given the right opportunities, and that you're handled in the proper manner? So that is the Kenya Academy of Sports, which we have retained from the 2013 Act, but with an enhanced mandate. Now, there are other areas that we've also tried to address in the sports bill and the sports policy, because what we were developing was both a bill and a policy. We've addressed issues such as management of sports persons. You've all heard about rogue managers.
Agents.
And agents, absolutely. So we're developing a framework where every manager, must be qualified, must be accredited, and must be licensed. So that they have a reporting framework, so that there is a monitoring framework, and so that we protect our athletes from exploitation and ensure that we police that environment as closely as possible. That's another area, and I'm just mentally scanning the bill. Safeguarding is another issue that is current in sports. We have more and more young persons participating in sports, minors. They have to be looked after. We presently have no safeguarding provisions under the Sports Act of 2013. We want to ensure that there's a legislative framework for safeguarding. And it's not just children and young persons, for women as well. We know how women athletes have suffered at the hands of coaches, at the hands of spouses, and so on. So safeguarding is a very important aspect of ensuring that the sports environment is shall I say, is wholesome, is clean, is wholesome. The people that we entrust our sports people to, of whatever age, are people who are qualified, are people who have integrity, and are people that will look after them. Because our sports people are, they're a resource, and they must be looked after. So safeguarding is an area that we have also addressed. A big one, which for me is something I'm very excited about, is sports science, sports medicine, the use of technology in enhancing performance in sports. At present, it depends on individual endeavor. At present, either your coach is enlightened and therefore wants to introduce some element of sports science, technology, and so on, or isn't, in which case you're in the dark ages. We want to ensure that this is again a pillar of our sporting performance. When you think about it, we used to take for granted that Kenya would have a gold medal from 800 meters onwards.
Yes.
We thought they belonged to us.
Yes.
Yeah. But now we are getting overtaken.
We're struggling a bit.
We're struggling in those areas.
Yeah.
Why are we struggling? Because a lot of other nations come here, they use our facilities, they train in E10, and then they go away, and then they add data, they add nutrition, they add all the other basic things that go into building a sports person, and they do it better than we do.
Yeah.
So we're finding that talent is no longer enough. And in this age of AI, age of data, they say data is the new gold. Without data, how are you going to track your performance? How are you going to ensure that you're eating right? How are you going to ensure that that when you get injured, that you're getting the right treatment? How are we going to ensure that we anticipate that after you have run X number of marathons, or after you've been on the field this long, that you need a break? All these are the elements that have to be looked after. And that's where sports science comes in. We also want to ensure that there is proper research into sports. We want to establish across all the counties research facilities which are specific to sports to ensure that we enhance our sporting performance. So that's another aspect that we have addressed. Then there are the things that I suppose still belong in the 2013 Act, but which we're enhancing. The role of the sports registrar. We recognize that the sports registrar continues to perform an important role, registering sports organizations, federations, and so on and so forth. But that also needs to be enhanced. And so what we have proposed is to have a national sports digital database. And the purpose of having a digital database is to ensure it is part of sports integrity, first and foremost. So having a digital database will eliminate things like age cheating. So for instance, when you are recorded in the digital database, your record will be interlinked with the records at immigration, the records at the registrar of births and deaths. So your birth certificate, when it is produced, is the only record of your age. So that we no longer have this thing, especially in schools competitions, where there are complaints about overage, or people producing 2 birth certificates, or uncertainty about how old you are, and so on and so forth. But it goes beyond that. It also tracks your performance, the digital database. So you should be able to have a dashboard which tells you if you, as a commentator, are looking up, anticipating the trials at Nyayo on Saturday, you can look up a particular sports person. How tall are they? What's their stride?
Get all the details.
The data.
It should all be there.
Which is a big gap currently.
It's a big gap. It is a very big gap. When was your last injury? How long have you been out? Have you had any sanctions for doping, for instance? But it also, subject of course to data protection provisions and so on, needs to be available even to the public. I should be able to go into a database, and maybe not in relation to sports persons, because there is data that is protected under the Data Protection Act. But I should be able to search a sports organization and say, does it exist, first and foremost? Who are its officials? How long have they been in office? The same way now you can go into eCitizen and search a company. Who are its directors, who are its shareholders? We should be able to have access to that information. So data and this digital database we see as a very, very important pillar for sports going forward. It will also inform a lot of other initiatives. So if I am an insurer, looking to see whether it is viable to ensure a particular sector of sports, and how do I cost it? What premiums should I be imposing?
Yeah.
The database helps me because it gives me the data on that sector. Who are registered, how many athletes are there or sports persons are there, what are their ages, what is their physical makeup. And that is the, insurance depends on actuarial calculations.
Yeah.
That's for an actuarial professional. Those are the ingredients they need in order to say this is the premium that we will be able to charge for this.
Yeah.
But SU, let me ask this. In regards, let me just take you back to the authority that is going to regulate, that is the National
Sports Regulatory Authority.
Yeah.
What would be then the distinction in regards to responsibility between NASRA and sports registrar?
So the sports registrar sits under NASRA. Yeah, it will be an office under
NASRA,
the National Sports Regulatory Authority. Yeah. So that's a good question that you ask.
Yeah.
Because we had to think about that framework. But it will. We propose that it sits under NASRA. At present, the sports registrar is a public official under the public service. Yeah. But we think that sports is a specialized area.
Yeah.
And so, for instance, when we think about the qualifications for the Director General of NASRA, must be somebody qualified in management, but also have a bias to sports. When we think about the board of directors, which would be appointed by the cabinet secretary, there must be within that board representation from the sports sector. But there must also be representation from the commercial sector. Because, and this is another element I was coming to, the commercialization of sports. How do we interest investors in our sports sector? How do we move sports from being a CSR? How do we stop saying that you're sponsoring sport to saying you're investing in sport? But that depends on sport being able to give a return. Because an investor will not come in unless A, there's a framework, and B, there's a potential return. So returns are for entrepreneurs to figure out. But we must give them a foundation. We must give them a framework. So how do you register a sports-specific enterprise? So we have provided for that, how to register sports-specific. So if you want to manage sports persons, or you want to partner with government or a county in developing infrastructure, we have to think about things like naming rights. Can somebody potentially decide that they will have naming rights over Nyayo Stadium for 5 years? And what does that entail? What will they be responsible for? The upkeep of the stadia, all those facilities and so on. And they get the benefit that comes with their name being associated with that stadia. And we've seen that across every developed sporting nation. We see that their stadia are named after
a legend, maybe
a large corporate organization. Because corporates are about their brands, and brands is about putting yourself out there, recognition, association with your stakeholders. So as I said, I'm scanning through, and now that we talk about your stakeholders, your associations, another element that we've addressed is funds. So we have a proposal to have funds associations, because when you think about it, can sport really take place meaningfully without funds?
No, they're the biggest stakeholders.
Absolutely. They're the biggest stakeholders. And yet, where do we recognize funds? We never really recognize funds. So we would like funds to have a central place in sports. Yeah, and that recognition comes from the policy and the act. So if you're a fan of motorsports, we want you to organize yourselves as fans of motorsports. Be able to register.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your
so they have to
association.
register themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that you can register yourself as as fans of motorsports or fans of football or fans of hockey, whatever. And that has several benefits. A, you now have, if you're a corporate potential investor, you now know that there's an organized entity that you can direct your advertising to, for instance, that you can tap into. But also when you think about things like hooliganism and so on, when people are organized, you can better stamp out.
There's accountability.
Absolutely. There's accountability.
Yeah.
So that brings in the accountability element. When you're thinking about tickets or travel to support the national team who are going to Madagascar or Senegal or wherever, you can then organize your funds under their association to travel. Because you know who you are. Maybe you've asked them to pay subscriptions, or maybe they can begin to pay installments over a year in advance of the event. But there's accountability because there's a recognized association. And there's so many ways that you can use the information that comes from having fans associations. Better organization, better marketing, more targeted marketing, and just better organization. And I think that when fans also begin to recognize that they are appreciated, I think you'll see a better response from them in terms of how they support sport. So that's another area that we have given thought to and provided for.
Maybe the sports
what else?
Dispute, the tribunal.
The tribunal.
Yes.
You know, the tribunal is at the center of my heart.
Yes.
Because I was chair of the tribunal for many years. What we have done is to expand the jurisdiction of the tribunal to give it more power.
Okay.
One of the things I experienced as chair of the tribunal was when I first took on that role, one of the criticisms I had to deal with was people saying it will be a toothless entity because its power was very limited under the Act, and we really had to do a lot of legal gymnastics to ensure that we took on cases, resolved them, expanded our remit, and ensured that the tribunal became vibrant and became a recognized decision-making body. But we want the legislation to underpin the work of the tribunal. So we want to give it jurisdiction across even commercial sporting arrangements. So if you are an investor in sport, then you have a specialized tribunal that you can go to, which is sport specific, and which can resolve your dispute quickly. If you're an athlete or a sports person, you have a tribunal that will very quickly come to grips with what your grievance is. Selection disputes, selection to national teams, and so on has been a big thing. We want to ensure that the tribunal can deal with those more effectively. We want the tribunal even to be able to give advisory opinions. So if you're uncertain about something that you're thinking about within the sports environment, you can approach the tribunal and say, these are the facts, this is the narrative. Can you give me an opinion? If this came into a dispute, how would it go? That gives you clarity in terms of your thinking around the arrangements that you want to make. And so you enter those arrangements knowing full well what the pros and cons are, so that you're not waiting for a dispute to arise, which will then impede your further progress in whatever endeavor you're looking at. So just expanding the jurisdiction of the tribunal, And jurisdiction
yeah.
is just the power of the tribunal
Mm.
to determine the cases that are brought before it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And talking of the tribunal, and this I just want your own personal opinion.
Mhm.
Would you like a situation where a result of a sport
Mhm.
is determined on the pitch and not at the judicial arrangements like SDDT?
Now you're asking me about AFCON. I know.
I've even seen even local in Kenya.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Best practice
Yeah.
is sporting results should be decided on the sports field.
Mm.
Yeah.
Absent exception, there is always an exception with every rule.
Mm.
Yeah. Absent exceptions. So, for instance, Ben Johnson,
Mm.
yeah, who was sanctioned for a doping offense
Yeah.
and therefore stripped of his gold medal. You know, that therefore means that the result is not determined on the track.
Yeah.
It is determined in a hearing room
Yeah.
What they
Where-
call boardroom.
or a boardroom
Yeah.
Yeah.
where they decide that the doping violation actually occurred. That's one way in which you can be stripped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if you field an ineligible player,
Mm.
for instance.
Mm.
Yeah, of course, the match goes until the end, and then it is determined that you actually fielded a player who was ineligible. That can affect the result or the outcome,
Yeah.
because then those are exceptions, and there are certain exceptions. You know, fraud, for instance, misrepresentation. Those are contract terms, but in sporting terms, if it impedes sporting integrity,
Yeah.
yeah, then it can affect, or it can give the boardroom actors
The power.
the power
Yeah.
to overturn the sporting actors'
yeah.
performance on the field.
Mm.
Having said that, the general rule is that sports results should be determined on the play, all things being constant. Sporting results should be determined
Yeah.
on the sporting field.
And do you think some sports people or associations always use sports dispute tribunal as a space where they can delay something happened to them, they go to SDT to get injunctions? Have you ever heard of those
Yeah.
people complaining of such allegations?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You see, the benefit, though, is for me, it is better that they go to SDT and get an injunction than that they go to court.
The
normal
state
court.
law. Yeah.
Because the SDT injunction, if it was issued without proper foundation, might last 2 weeks or a month.
Yeah.
In court, it could last 2 years or 3.
Yeah.
You see, so it's the speed of being able to determine whether this was given rightly or wrongly. So I cannot discount the fact that clubs, federations,
yeah.
and so on may come to misuse the power of SDT.
Yeah.
You know, so I would never say that is not possible. It is possible.
Yeah.
Because sometimes what happens is that when you come to a court or a tribunal like SDT, you come ex parte, which means you only present your own facts. And as a tribunal, I will look at it, and the way you present it, and lawyers are very creative.
Yeah.
They make out a case like this is something that very wrong has occurred. And so I might be propelled to give an injunction. But if I gave an injunction today, so today is Tuesday,
Yeah.
I would say serve the papers on the other parties
Yeah.
and come back to me on Friday, yeah, or next Monday or Tuesday. Now, the other side may then come with a wholly different set of facts,
Yeah.
which then changes the dynamics, which means that I'm very quickly able to correct
Yeah.
the injunction that I gave.
Yeah.
If you went to court, the court may very well say, come back in a month's time. In a month's time, it's a mention, then the judge gives you another date in June,
Yeah.
and then you've got another date in September. And this is what I'm saying, that injunction could last
Yes.
for a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm happier for somebody to come to a sports specific tribunal like the SDT, mislead it, get an injunction, but it will be very short-lived.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So we try and mitigate it in that way.
Yeah.
We never say we'll not be misled,
Yeah.
but we very quickly are able to correct that
Yeah.
error.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is something that has caught my eye on the bill, and I think it's very, very timely. It's matters of hosting international sporting events.
Yes.
We had the Magical Kenya, we had the Safari Rally, HSBC Sevens, that is for
Absolutely.
Division 2.
Yeah.
Something that we can really take advantage of
Yes.
going forward.
Yeah.
I just maybe can tell us some of the provisions in that aspect for us now to continue hosting and
Yeah.
just giving funds from all over the world the best experiences in terms of those events.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually, I was going to come to that as I was scanning through the bill.
Yeah.
Hosting, bidding, and so on. And
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
We've seen more and more activity
Yeah.
around hosting and bidding.
Yeah.
But there must be structure.
Yeah.
Yeah. There must be structure. There must be budgeting.
Yeah.
And there must be a proper case. Yeah. And then there must be post-event. Yeah. What are the post-event strategies?
Yeah.
So, for instance, if we were, let's just go back to AFCON. With proper planning and budgeting, and if this legislation had been in place, by the time that we're bidding for them,
Yeah.
the budget would be in place.
Yes.
Yeah? So you'd not see the headlines like you saw yesterday. The PS saying, we're in danger of
Yeah.
being stripped.
Yeah.
Yeah, because being stripped brings shame to the country. So we must mitigate against that by having a legislative framework that says by the time you're bidding to host an international event, these are the structures that you must have in place.
Yeah.
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 Post the event, the infrastructure that you put up, how will it be utilized? Will it continue to be viable? If, for instance, like I'm trying to remember what event we had, which thankfully they used hostels at Kenyatta University. Yeah? But say we were hosting the Olympics, for argument's sake, and I think one of our CSs has suggested that one day Kenya could host the Olympics. You have to build an Olympic village.
Yeah.
So that is for the event. Post
After,
the event,
yeah.
after the event,
Yeah.
what will that village be used for?
Yeah.
Yeah. That must be thought through, and the longevity of it. And then we must also think about the things that are a requirement now in the modern world. Yeah? Green facilities. Yeah?
Yeah.
We must ensure that do we have those in place.
Yeah.
We must think about now, for instance, I read that WRC, this will be the last
As per the contract.
yeah,
Yeah.
as per the contract.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. State managed.
State
Not
managed.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if we were going to bid for it again, who would be bidding? Who would be managing it? Do we have the expertise in place?
Yeah.
How long will we be bidding for? Is it just a year, 5 years? What's the longevity of it?
Yeah.
But beyond that, we want to ensure that when we do these events, that we can take advantage of them as a nation beyond just the sporting event. So can we collaborate with the Ministry of Tourism to promote sports tourism,
Yeah.
Yeah.
for instance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Kenya becomes a destination for sports tourism because we have said well in advance that we're bidding for WRC or we're bidding for Magical Kenya. And around that,
Yeah.
there is now marketing to ensure that tourists come to Kenya
Yeah.
around that event. But beyond that event, that they also enjoy the other things that Kenya has to
Yeah.
offer.
What the country has to
Once-
offer.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So if I was a tour agent, for instance,
Yeah.
I want to be able to look at my calendar at the beginning of the year and see, okay, Kenya will be hosting XYZ in June, in September, in December. How can I package those?
Yeah.
Yes.
And how
yes.
can I begin to make offers to my fans associations? Yeah? Or to other tourists from across the world.
Yeah.
So there are so many spin-offs from that. You know, just the sheer organization around it, the structure, the ensuring fit for purpose facilities, the beyond the competition aspects, the commercial spin-offs. And so we would like to see that embedded in legislation, so that, you know, it becomes something that that when we do, we know we will do well. It doesn't just happen just because somebody thought it was a good thing. Let's do it, but there's been no forethought about how it will run. So
there's a question here on Facebook, because we are live also on Facebook, from Anna Clark. National Sports Regulatory Authority, where is the additional funding coming from?
Where's the additional funding?
For this authority.
So first and foremost, as an authority, would have to be A, government funded, but B, we hope that in the long run it can be self-funding. Self-funding, because all the people having to apply to be, if you're going to apply to be an agent, for instance, you must pay agency fees. If you're going to register your funds associations, there will be some subscription. If you're going to register your sports organization, there must be some subscription. If we're going to properly commercialize our infrastructure, then they become commercially viable. So the way these organizations need to be managed should be commercially sensible, so that they can be self-funding. When you think about an entity or a regulator like Communications Authority, for instance, you know, what they charge this telecom operators for spectrum for just operating is in the billions, because this the Safaricom's and Airtels are making a lot of money. So they pay for those licenses, and those licenses are part of the funding that runs these regulators. So all this depends on having an astute management of the regulatory authority, and then being able to tap into different funding sources.
Let's handle the Sports Amendment Bill 2026 on match fixing that was, of course, presented to Parliament by Honorable Irene Mayaka. According to you, what's your thought about this bill? Considering the fact that match fixing is something that has really dogged Kenyan sports, more so football.
Yes. I think it's an amendment which is timely. But as a task force, we thought about it from a much wider perspective. And actually, this is something that I should have spoken about. Part of what we've proposed in the sports bill is a sports integrity unit. So that you're not only talking about what we call competition manipulation, you're not only policing in order to find people for match fixing and so on and so forth. You're looking at it from a much wider perspective. When you think about sports integrity, it is so wide. And so we're looking at it from a multidisciplinary perspective. We're looking at it from a policing perspective in the sense of investigation and so on. We're looking at it from a cyber technology perspective, because, you know, manipulation takes place also digitally. We're looking at it from a doping, substance abuse perspective. We're looking at it from an education perspective. We're looking at it from a monitoring perspective. We're looking at it from a cross-jurisdictional cooperation perspective. Because, you know, a match in Kenya can be manipulated from Vietnam. We're also looking at it from a perspective of esports. And esports is another thing that we have provided for now that that's come to my mind.
I would love to hear more about that.
But so sporting integrity. So I think the the proposed amendment is timely. I think it has come as a result of frustration by especially the football sector.
Yeah.
From all the things we've read in the newspapers about match manipulation.
Yeah.
But what we have tried to do within the sports bill is to go further than just addressing competition manipulation, to addressing sporting integrity, both from a disciplinary perspective, from a criminal law perspective, from an education perspective, as I said, and from the perspective of recognizing it as a cross-border threat to sport.
Yeah.
So in a much more holistic manner.
So don't you think there could be a possibility of maybe merging the two to become maybe as part of one document?
Actually, this is what, when we met with the parliamentary committee responsible for sports, this was our proposal to them.
Yeah.
That perhaps the two could be merged.
Yeah.
However, we also recognize the dynamics of how Parliament works. This proposed amendment came in before the task force had completed its work. So it's already on the track, so to speak. Within legislative timetable, our policy has to go to cabinet. It has to get cabinet approval, and then this then tracks back to validate the proposed bill. Then the bill has to go through refinements. I told you that we were still taking stakeholder views or comments or reactions. It has to go through those refinements. We will then redraft it to take into account those, and then it has to go through the different readings. So this amendment is in the parliamentary timetable ahead of the bill. But ideally, merging them would have been our proposal. So you're right in that sense.
And it's just something you've mentioned, that is esports. We have a lot of emerging sports that technically are not the traditional sports, but still now as the world has evolved, now technology, esports comes into the conversation. Maybe some of the provisions in terms of those emerging sports.
So we have recognized that there will be emerging sports. We have tried to, the way I like to think about it is to future-proof the bill. To think about a bill that will last us 25, 30 years. And to try and think about the developments that might take place across that time frame. So we already know about esports. We've provided for esports. Then we've also provided for what we call emerging sports and the way in which they are to be recognized. So there are various parameters that we've put in place which will facilitate recognition. And then we've given the cabinet secretary power to make regulations for the adoption of these emerging sports. So that even if we don't know what it is today, when it emerges next year, it will be brought into the fold. So that, we already know what the traditional sports are. And these new ones, as they come about, they will also find pride of place and also then become part of our sporting ecosystem. But the other thing that we've also tried to address, incidentally, is funding for sports. And what we've proposed is to have a tiered funding, so that you have elite sports, which will be given priority, and then you have sports which are still at a developmental stage. Right? They cannot get the same funding as elite sports. And then you have grassroots sports. So grassroots are still developed, are still funded, but we have to recognize what is commercially viable, what is putting us on the global stage, and give it pride of place. And then we have to recognize what is emerging, what is its developmental stage, and also put it as the next tier. And then we have to recognize that at the grassroots, we have to be developing sport as well, and support those as well. So that there is a distinction. If I am applying for funding as Athletics Kenya to go to the World Championships, I really should have priority to the federation applying to, I don't know what sport to mention, but which is at a developmental stage.
Okay.
The priority. But beyond that, and I'm thinking through this as we go along. Beyond that, the way sports is funded must also be structured. So if you have an event coming up in September, for which you require funding as a federation, you must know in good time that you will be funded, the level of funding. So you can plan your camp, you can plan your air tickets, you can plan your allowances properly. This business of sports persons sleeping at the airport, or the scandals we hear about people camping outside Talanta because they didn't get funding, is something that we hope we can deal with legislatively by defining time frames within which you must apply and within which you must get an answer.
Absolutely.
To enable you to plan properly.
And
I forgot to mention that we have also really tried to elevate the participation of people living with disability. The Paralympic sports and so on and so forth. They must also, obviously, Kenya is already supporting those, but there's no legislative framework. We have People Living with Disabilities Act legislation, for instance. We want this to be part of the infrastructure of the Sports Act, so that every aspect of society feels included within our sporting ecosystem. And lastly, not to forget, is to remember that sports is also just a recreational endeavor. The guy who just wants to run in the morning, the guy who wants to go to Jeffries or Parkland Sports Club just to run around the track, we must also provide for them. We're not only talking about elite sports here. Sports is for everybody. And that's what we've tried to, that's the philosophy that we've tried to ensure runs through the entire bill. That sports is actually for everybody. You can participate in sports just by jogging, walking, as a fan, as somebody going to the stadia. We want to see in the future families, attending sporting events, feeling safe and feeling that they can participate in sports, and so that sports becomes something that Kenya really, really enjoys and takes pride of place as part of our national culture.
Absolutely. Let's say it's now 1 minute after 12. Let's get sporty updates. Then
Look out! Home run! Top story hits, no misses. The Sporty Update on SportyFM.
Harambee Stars striker Mohamed Bajaber has pledged to repay coach Benny McCarthy's faith after being recalled for Friday's FIFA Global Series match against Estonia in Kigali. The Simba AC forward, sidelined by injuries for much of the past year, sees the game as a chance to redeem himself and showcase his talent on the international stage.
Yes, an Arsenal face mounting injury woes as Gabriel Magalhaes and Leandro Trossard withdraw from international duty, joining William Saliba and Eberechi Eze on the sidelines. Gabriel will miss Brazil's friendlies against France and Croatia, while Trossard skips Belgium's US tour, while Ben White returns to the England squad to cover for Jarrell Kwanzaa.
Eritrea will end 18 years of isolation from the Africa Cup of Nations when they face Morocco in Meknes on Wednesday in the first leg of the 2027 qualifiers. The Red Sea Camels, led by head coach Esham Yakan, have a 24-man squad blending local players with international from Europe and Australia and the Philippines, aiming to overcome lack of competitive match practice since their last qualifier 7 years ago.
Yes, an international star, Yannick Sinner, has broken Novak Djokovic's 10-year record for most consecutive sets won at the ATP Masters 1000 events, with a 6-1, 6-4 win over Corentin Moutet at the Miami Open. The 24-year-old, riding victories at the Indian Wells and Paris, now has 26 straight sets at the Masters 1000 level and will face Alex Michelsen in the last 16.
That's the Sporty Updates, 4 minutes after 12.
Look out! Home run! Top story hits, no misses. The Sporty Update on SportyFM.
This is SportyFM, and of course, time now is 4 minutes after 12. We are here with the Senior Counsel, John Ohaga, of course, the Chairperson, Task Force on Review of the Policy, Legal and Institutional Framework for Sports in Kenya. And we're just finishing up our conversation. This has been fantastic. But just before we let you go, there's a question here that has been asked on Facebook by Bridget Siantei Kashoi. Does it mean that ADAC will now be housed under Nasra?
No. No, ADAC has its self-standing act, the Anti-Doping Act of Kenya. Doping is a very specialized area. ADAC, and doping is basically policed by WADA. We don't want to interfere with that structure, so we have left it alone. But we want to recognize that doping affects sporting integrity. So when we define sporting integrity, we include doping as part of the threats to sporting integrity. That doesn't mean that ADAC will be housed under Nasra. No. ADAC is actually independent body, and it is best that way because they have their own investigative framework. They run their own education policies, they run their own testing, and so on and so forth. They obtain their own funding, and that is not something we would like to interfere with.
My last question before Chep, I'm pretty sure our last question. One of the proposals from your draft is also aligning sports within the CBC.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
How is this going to work?
Well, listen, you cannot separate sporting pathways from education. We cannot pretend that sports can stand alone without cooperation with education. So you know that now CBC provides sports as one of the available pathways. You know that within the Kenya's education calendar, there are sporting events. Through those sporting events, we're able to spot talent. The Kenya Academy of Sports works around creating sporting camps during school holidays. So there is an inevitable collaboration between Ministry of Education and Ministry of Sports. And that is a collaboration that we would like to recognize, acknowledge, and encourage. And that's the way that we have structured it.
Yes, and I think for me, 2 questions. Of course, how does success look like? Of course, now as in terms of this bill, and looking into the future, how will you say evaluate now this is a success in terms of this bill?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. We see success at different. It will be judged through different parameters. And success, I think about it first on timelines. I see a 5-year first runway, then a 10-year runway, then a 15-year runway, and then a 20-year runway. We want to see better infrastructure. We want to see our sports people beginning to have an immediate benefit from some of the things that are immediately offered, such as the use of technology, sports science, research, and so on and so forth. From safeguarding, from having agents and so on who are better managed. There will be immediate successes there. Infrastructure takes a long time to build. We want to see across every county, infrastructure that is multi-use. So not just a stadium built because there's a national day coming up. A stadium built because we want to encourage sports in a particular county, and that's multi-sports. So a stadium that has football, volleyball, track, swimming costume, swimming pool, basketball court, and so on. Those will take time. We want to see sports growing commercially. We want to see more and more investment in sports. We want to see something that I forgot to mention, athletes beginning to benefit even more from their image rights. Because, as an athlete, you should be able to commercialize your talent. We want to see sport being a true game changer from an earning perspective for athletes. Not just an elite category of athletes, but more and more athletes being celebrities. So if I could categorize it and put it on a spreadsheet or something, I would have 5 years, and then I would have what do we want to see in 10 years, what do we want to see in 15 years. We want every aspect of sport. We want to see insurance companies giving us products that are specific to sports. We want to see something else that I forgot to mention is recognition and acknowledgement of our sports heroes. A proper framework for that. I know that they are recognized on national days, but what is the framework? As a sports person, is there something I can aim for? Are there certain parameters that I need to meet in order to attain that recognition? Post-sporting career, we want to create dual pathways for our sports people. So if you suffer an injury or you come to the end of your sporting career ends, what are you able to do? Are you equipped to do it? Have we trained you? Have we given you the resources? So there are so many ways in which success will look like. In the end, as a sporting nation, will we feel good? The feel-good factor, as Kenyans, not just the periodic times when Harambee Stars is playing or when we have Kenya Sevens playing, but across the board, different sports supported equally. Just because we now can enjoy our sports as something that we actually should be able to take it for granted.
Absolutely.
We should be able to take it for granted.
Finally from me, which sport do you enjoy watching?
Which sport do I enjoy watching?
Yes.
I try and watch every sport, but I confess I enjoy watching football the most. I watch rugby, obviously, because I played rugby.
Which is your club?
Rugby. Well, I played for Kenya Harlequins, so I watch Kenya Harlequins. Of course, I watch Kenya on the world stage. I like the All Blacks, so I try and follow them.
Football, your favorite club?
Football.
In Kenya?
In Kenya, Gor Mahia. I try and watch AFC as well because my mother was Luya. The Obwakas were my cousins.
Mashemeji, really?
So Mashemeji. And then I follow Manchester United.
I thought Arsenal.
Arsenal, Johnny come latelys. But anyway.
Thank you so much, Senior Counsel, for finding time to come and speak to us. We could go on and on.
We really could.
But time ndio naona is really, we are really pressed of time, but thank you so much for finding time to come and speak to us.
Thank you for having me. It's been my pleasure. Sports is a passion. Whenever I start speaking about sports, I could just go on and on. Absolutely.
That has been our conversation here with John Ohaga, Senior Counsel. Of course, is the chairperson of Task Force on Review of the Policy, Legal and Institutional